That ain't your brother.
Hey guys, so I recently saw the movie Sinners, and I know it was a little bit behind because it had come out, a week or so ago, and everybody had a lot of buzz on it. And one of the reasons I wanted to see it is because it starred Michael B. Jordan, and for me, Michael B. Jordan is the new Will Smith. And just like when Will Smith came out with movies, I went to go see everything that he was in, no matter what it was about, for fear of being slapped. But either way, this movie does star Michael B. Jordan, and actually him playing a dual role with him playing twins. Smoke and Stack, I believe the character's name, are in the movie, and it gives us a great way to see his acting range. These two brothers are from this hometown, this small little town, and return back from Chicago, where they were working with Capone. I think they kind of hint at in this movie. Whereas MC Gusto would say they were.
Boy, I'm 3 generations deep in gangsterdom. 3 generations.
Either way, so they do that. They have some big score in Chicago, and they make their way back to their hometown, in which they want to kind of start a little nightclub with their ill-gotten gains. I guess we'll put it that way. I guess the movie Sinners kind of circles around the fact that everybody involved in the movie have some type of sin, and this is kind of a way for them to kind of come together and just have a good time. I guess that's the overall feeling of why this thing was called Sinners, because not everybody was a sinner in it. They got a couple of characters who were actually true and good of heart, that I don't understand why it would win, but either way. So they start this nightclub, and lo and behold, some vampire-esque stuff starts, and we kind of go from there. So that's all I'm going to reveal on the plot, because as always, when we do these type of reviews, we like to talk about the goods and the bads of the movie. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the goods. And as you guys already know, I'm a big fan of Michael B. Jordan, and I think he was probably, as the leading character, he was the most important part of it, and probably the most the most shining part of this particular movie. Seeing him and his acting ability doing dual roles as twins was really good, because he didn't actually just try to play them as like, hey, one's kind of calm and one's kind of crazy. They had like subtle differences between them, but enough to where you're like, okay, that's Smoke and that's Stack, and you can really feel the duality between the two, and they wore different color hats, so it was kind of easy to pick up between the two. There were some times where like there was weird shot scenes where you're like, okay, well, that's a fill-in person and that's a fill-in person, but overall I think Michael B. Jordan did great in the role. And I would like to see his acting range be tested a little bit more in upcoming movies. Sometimes he kind of plays the same character. We used to call it Will Smith in it up, and I guess we'll call this Michael B. Jordan in it up, as far as his range. So I do like to see him playing different range. Other things that I liked about this movie, and I guess we're gonna stick with characters, is the actor, I gotta remember his name. It's Miles Canton, and I think this was his first role playing Sammy, which is like their cousin. It's the preacher's son, where he seems like to be the heart of the movie. He is the goodness of the movie, and I think he did a great job, especially for as big of a role as he had in this particular movie. And the fact that it was his first movie. I'm not sure if he really can play the guitar. I didn't look that far into his history, but him being a guitar player and having this issue with his father, who's a preacher, who doesn't want him to play the guitar, considering that the music of the devil, which I guess is his sin in this particular movie. I think he did a great job on here, though some of his lines he kind of mumbled through, so I think he was trying to do the southern period piece accent, which came across sometimes, and other times it didn't come across, or maybe he just kind of gave up on it. But I think he did a great job in this. I'd love to see what else he's gonna have going forward in this movie, in his movie career. I hope it doesn't just die with this particular movie. Other character that I did like in here was, I had to write it down because it was Delroy Lindo. And I've seen him in a bunch of other movies, but I can never remember his name, so I had to write it down so I didn't forget. His character Delta Slim was probably one of the he is a scene stiller. He was like one of the best things about this movie, outside of Michael B. Jordan and Miles Cantu. He brought a lot of levity to the movie, a lot of humor, and even some tense scenes where he was kind of giving some of his backstory. It he stole scenes. He should be up for a supporting actor in this. When the Oscars come out, I think he should really be nominated for a supporting actor. I believe that this movie isn't doesn't flow as well without him and his scenes. Now, other things that I like about this movie is that this movie, obviously being directed by Ryan Coogler, I would feel is going to be guided by music. We've seen Creed, we've seen Black Panther, and they're great, they're good movies. I can't use the word great. They're good movies that always kind of get moved along with the emotional element by the music that they include in them. And this one is no different. They had a couple of different musical scenes where it was like, man, you just felt in the moment in those musical scenes. No, one that they normally people have been talking about on the internet quite a bit, which is one of the reasons why I was very interested in this particular movie. But there were other elements too with other songs, even some of the ones that were kind of like, oh, kind of folksy songs. Those actually worked well too for the moments that they were in. You understood why they were being done. So Ryan Coogler gets another great grade as far as the music element in his particular movies. Uh, Other thing that I liked about this movie, I guess the other good about this movie is that it is a period piece, which is different for me with vampire films. Most of it is kind of set in the future or set in the nowadays. This one being a period piece made it feel different. It made it feel real different in the sense that, like, obviously vampires had to exist back then, so why would they not have been up to something in that sense? But seeing the way that they did the settings and the backgrounds and the clothing and the sets, they did a great job. And not just says, hey, it's back in the 20s or 30s or whenever this movie was supposed to happen, and that we have one set and that we're just there and they're just telling you that that's, and it's like, no, you really felt like by seeing trains and the vehicles that were being driven at the time, and you know how spread out and open the lands were, and it was like it really felt like they did a good job of keeping that period element to it. It really did get on world building, I guess I'll say that. Now, that is gonna bring me to the bads of this film, and I always feel like when I do the bads, I have a lot of nitpicking. This isn't nitpicking, but it's not super bad, but it was enough that kind of kept me from completely loving this movie. First and foremost, a lot of the things that people said about this movie is that it reminds you of From Dusk to Dawn. It does, until it doesn't, because it's, I guess you could say it's a good thing that it doesn't remind you of From Dusk to Dawn, but it's also a bad thing because one of the things that From Dusk to Dawn did was work well with the pacing. When that movie started off as one movie that transitioned to a vampire film, this movie does the same thing. So that's where you get the From Dusk to Dawn element from. This movie, though, takes so long to get to the vampire element of it. We're like, is this even still what we thought was being sold in the trailers? From Dusk to Dawn has a great way that was like, hey, there are other things going on that keep you interested in that particular storyline before it flips the switch and becomes a vampire movie. This movie spends half the movie setting up characters that I still, by the time, spoiler alert, they die, I don't care about. Like, it literally should have kept it focused on the three characters I like the most: the Michael B. Jordan twins, I guess you can call them one character, the Sammy character as a preacher boy, and the Delroy, the Delta Slim character. Those, everybody else, I really, maybe I forget the woman's name who plays one of the love interests, or I guess who played both the Haley Seinfeld and the other woman who played the other love interest who had a child that got lost. Um, Briefly on them because I didn't feel the emotional weight when they actually passed. So it took too long, and I half of the movie I'm like, okay, yes, I understand characters, 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 story, 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 story. Can we get to the vampires, please? At this point, slow burn, very very slow burn. That was one of the things I did not like about it. Two is that we get a villain in here where he just kind of comes out of nowhere. And yes, and From Dusk to Dawn, they kind of come out of nowhere, but they go there and they just kind of stumble across something. This villain just seems like he's just placed in this particular situation with no real clear understanding of why he wants to do what he wants to do, outside of saying that he wants to build a family. Well, if he's a vampire, shouldn't he already have a vampire family? What happened to them? Why is he out on his own? There's some overall elements that they try to touch on. It's not woke, it's not like them trying to talk about racism, but they do give you some underlying tones, but that's not enough to kind of guide his his point of being there in this particular movie and what he really wants out of it. I was like, that's really kind of weak. Other things that I did not like about this movie, or I guess we'll call it the bads, is that the action scenes. The somebody made a good point. They said that instead of feeling like From Dusk to Dawn, where they're trapped inside of a bar and trying to get out or trying to make it to the daylight, this one they're trapped in a nightclub where they're trying to make it to the daylight. But the vampires are trying to get in, and they use the element of saying that, like, hey, they need permission to get in, which is an old trope in vampires that they don't really use much. So it's kind of cool that they did go back to that. But that was something that they kind of did in, I think it was Tales of the Crypt, Night of the Demons, where the character kept trying to get in, and they kind of needed to be, or even the Bordello of Blood, where they had to be kind of let the way they did the trope, it made it seem like, hey, we're already in, we're gonna run out, even though we need to be invited back in. It felt kind of stupid. And then when the action scenes kind of went on, when they would fight the vampires, it'd be a lot of, we're gonna fight for a little bit, and then everybody's gonna escape. Some people are gonna die, and then the vampires are gonna escape. I never felt fulfilled in any of the action scenes, and they just felt like they were just doing action scenes for the sake of doing action scenes, but didn't even making me feel like they were good action scenes. Trying to think, what is the last thing that I did not like on this particular movie? Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop right there. I don't want to nitpick this movie completely to death. It had a lot of good things about it, and then it had a lot of bad things about it. It's kind of a mid-level movie. I wouldn't say I hated the movie, but I also wouldn't like suggest it to people. People were telling me about it once they went to go see it when it came out. So I'm not surprised that it's doing so well in the box office, but it's not a movie that you are probably gonna want to watch twice. It is very good to see a movie that Ryan Coogler is doing and Michael B. Jordan and supporting them, and making sure that they continue to do something different. He seems to be Michael B. Jordan seems to want to stick with him, like a lot of people stuck with Spike Lee or with Quentin Tarantino in doing his movies. And then they always give us something different. So I want to keep supporting that. But this one probably was not his greatest thing that he's done. All right, so I'm kind of curious how you guys felt about the movie. Make sure you put your thoughts in the comments below so we can have a kind of a back and forth. I feel a lot of people are being very light on this movie as far as not pointing out some of the flaws with it because it's Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. But I think that we should just say, hey, man, it was a C movie. It was a C movie. It wasn't an A movie. It's a C movie, and sometimes just getting by is good enough. The movie had a budget of $90 million, and it's way made that. I don't know if we're gonna get a Sinners 2. By the way, if you did not stay to the mid-credit scene, oh, that was my other complaint about it. If you didn't stay to the mid-credit scene, then you didn't actually see the end of this movie, because this movie ended a bunch of times. And it's one of my most annoying things. The Batman had that situation where, like, they just kept ending the movie over and over again, and you kept wanting to get up, but then something else would play on screen, and then you wanted to get up, and then something else would play on the screen. Lord of the Rings is notorious for doing that, and this movie also had that same problem as well. Like, they didn't know where to end the movie, but he had some scenes that he just wanted to include, but he felt like he needed to put an ending, so that way it didn't have a super long runtime. And I think that was a miss on it. And maybe even the last scene probably wasn't that very much necessary, unless they're gonna do a sequel. Who knows? All right, and if this is the first time that you're on the channel, make sure you subscribe as well as click the notification button so that way you are aware of all the other videos that we do on the channel. I'm gonna try to get back to doing movie reviews. I'm not gonna promise you guys, but if I do see something, I'll be back here to talk about it. So with that being said, you guys take care.
Guys, you're still with us? Great. I know it's the end of the year, and I know you guys are in the holiday spirit, the spirit of giving, right? So we're asking you to give us money. So if you look down below, you'll see where it says patreon.com/thegoods. Right there is if you have an excess amount of cash laying around. If you have not bought enough Christmas presents and you're wondering, who else can I bring joy to this year? Us. That's who you can bring joy to. Have you ever looked at us and you're like, man, they should get a better camera? You're right, because we don't have enough money to. You can help us do that. Patreon.com/thegoods. Help us out. We'd appreciate it. And you can be a part of the goods yourself.